You know that term, that phrase, America needs to have a conversation. We need to have a conversation about guns. We need to have a conversation about transgender. I noticed that conversation, the rules, the terms, it's always dictated by the left. And they think, well, guns are bad, and they think transgender issues, well, that's living according to one's truth, speaking one's truth. It's all beautiful. It's a controlled conversation. It's not an honest one. And by preventing the truth from coming out, as they try to do, people are dying. People are being hurt by this woke agenda that is so flagrantly dishonest. But you got to look closely because the mainstream media won't tell you about it. So who remembers the shooting in Nashville? Yeah, it seems like 5 years ago. That was 10 days ago. Her name, Audrey Hale, and happened to be a transgender individual. Now, how do I know that? How do I know that? Well, I happened to be going around the dial, and I heard the chief of police say it. He said it once, and never again.
Did she identify as transgender?
She does identify as transgender, yes.
Is there any reason to believe that how she identifies has any motive for targeting the school?
We can give you that at a later time. There is some theory to that. We're investigating all the leads, and once we know exactly, we will let you know.
That was the leading theory. They were working on that. They didn't dismiss it. That's the thing. That seems to be what's in the journals, the manifesto that they're not releasing. Do you know some news organizations have prohibited their reporters and anchors, will not allow them to talk about transgender in the wake of this thing? What can you talk about, though? Huh? Take a guess. Guns. Guns. Make it all about guns. Show up at the state capitol yelling and screaming about guns. Yes, make this a civil rights issue. Make it about guns all over again. Really taking it to the extreme. Some lawmakers in Tennessee went to the floor. This is kind of odd. They protested themselves. See the guy with the bullhorn? Yeah, he's a state assemblyman using a bullhorn, yelling and screaming. I mean, you're a legislator. Legislate. Do something. They just want to protest all the time. There is some trouble for that. Apparently, that's against the law, and I can see that. Anyway, whose side do you think the media is taking?
The heated showdown at the state capitol in Tennessee. A vote to expel 3 Democratic lawmakers by the Republican-controlled House.
The majority of Republicans have taken the extreme step of expelling him, and they're about to take the steps of expelling 2 of his colleagues as well.
An unprecedented move. Republicans trying to expel 3 Democratic lawmakers in Tennessee for protesting gun violence on the State House floor after the Nashville shootings.
You see the tenor, right? They agree with the issue, so you can do whatever you want about the issue. And everybody shows up on cue and supports these people. Big, loud rallies inside the Capitol. It's okay when you're on the left. It's the worst thing that ever happened if you're MAGA. You get it? And what are they talking about? What are they complaining about? Again, guns in America. Hey, good luck with that, because how many guns in America are there? Oh, by the way. Yeah, 415 million firearms, okay? They're going to last us a couple of thousand years. Even if you stopped every gun from ever being manufactured, this is not the answer. But they prefer this. Number one, maybe they think they can win, but they don't want to talk about this right now in this context, what I call our monster picture. This to them is a civil rights issue. This is a civil rights issue. And when a transgender mass shooter opens fire on children, well, that jeopardizes their agenda, doesn't it? Because for some perverse reason, they think this is wholesome. By the way, the real threat to democracy, to our way of life, I'm sorry, just might be transgender individuals armed with guns. It's happening all over the place. Armed with guns, opening fire. This teen suspected of planning a mass shooting. William Whitworth, the given name, but goes by Lily, a biological male, but even the media now treats Lily as a she because she was arrested in her bedroom. Okay. Here's some reality about this transgender stuff, especially with kids and even adults. They're fixing an internal problem externally. Not according to me, but according to some people who've actually gone through it. This is the sick fantasy that you can become your true self and make a lot of money doing it. Take a look.
I am Eloise. I am 6. I'm a city child. I live at the Plaza Hotel, which is huge and wonderful and très elegant, especially at Christmas time.
Breaking news. It's day 220 of being a girl, and we have another boob update. Hi. Impressive carrying skills, right? I got some Bud Lights for us.
Unfortunately, this is inspiring people. It shouldn't, because this is not what that life is like. Most people are not going to get endorsement deals. And from the experts I've spoken to and the ordinary people I've spoken to, the transgender gender affirmation process does not fix the internal issue. Listen to this individual.
When you got your surgery and you
nothing.
changed it, how was your life then?
Yeah. My anxiety was, it was still high. I was scared to go out the house. I did go out. I went out socially and stuff, but I was on antidepressants. I was still on the anxiety tablets. And I was still drinking heavily. I had to drink to get the confidence to go out, to get out the house. And this carried on right the way through until I changed back to being Peter.
He changed back to being his true self, Peter, a biological male, with a great big assist from God. It's an amazing story. If you have time, it's easily findable online. Peter and his journey to being a woman and back to being his true self. Look, this is what we're talking about right now. This is reality, and it needs to be discussed. It should not be papered over, right? I don't think so, and that's what's happening. Even people who have extreme insight into this issue. Ever watch MSNBC during the day? They have this interesting person. Her name is Katie Tur. From time to time, she actually does a pretty good job. I find her pleasant to listen to. But she has very unique insight into this whole transgender craze. Her father became a woman. Yes. I'm not digging through dirty laundry, by the way. She wrote a book about it, okay? And she goes on television shows to talk about it. Take a look.
Katie Tur says her dad could be demanding, abusive, and at times violent.
He would come home in these fits of anger. Something would set him off, and he would get so out of control that he would throw his fist through a wall. And it happened often. I mean, we would go to the store, buy plaster them up. I remember him throwing batteries at my mother. The violence was always there. It felt like it was normal, like that was just how a relationship worked.
Well, that's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Here's a little bit on her father, who cooperated with the piece, with the producers here, but she hasn't talked to her daughter in 10 years.
Katie and I were very close. She really looked up to me, and I failed her. No father wants to fail their daughter.
Let me tell you what she says you did when she was younger. She says you get so angry that you'd punch holes in the wall and that you threw things like batteries at Marika. Is that true?
Throwing batteries? Probably, yeah. Punching walls? There were a couple. I could be very intimidating, for sure. And if the kids felt I was intimidating, I apologize. I did the best I could.
Zoe Tur hasn't quite fixed the anger issues, apparently. It's not just a long time ago. Here, Zoe threatens our Ben Shapiro. We all love Ben Shapiro. Watch this.
But even so, you have a thing like Klinefelter's syndrome. So you don't know what you're talking about. You're not educated on genetics.
Would you actually like to discuss the genetics or no?
Well, no,
what
no.
are your genetics? So I'd stay away from the genetics and back to the brain scans.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
Wow. Those anger issues are still there. He's still an abusive person. Big time, don't you think? Ben handled it very well, by the way.
Yeah, that seems mildly inappropriate for a political discussion.
Good for Ben. So here's my lament that Katie Tur, who has amazing insight into all of this, doesn't go there, at least on television. It's all about guns. It's all about guns. But the transgender question about Nashville is a big one and an important one. But I guess America can't handle it. I know we can handle it. We seem to have problems with that and race, though, don't we? Why does it have to be so stilted and dishonest, huh? And it is very, very dishonest. This is the only stuff you can say on mainstream media about the police and race and issues related to that.
Unarmed people are being killed, that we're afraid to walk the streets, that we are afraid of police. They're not helping us. And it's important that we understand that it is important.
There is a connection between the fact that law enforcement originated as slave patrols and are still in 2021 killing black men and women on the street.
Police are supposed to protect and serve, but it's clear that they are protecting the beneficiaries of inherent racist policies.
All right, so none of that is true. Obviously, it's not. Especially that nonsense about slave patrols, okay? But it's taken on a life of its own in woke culture, and woke culture is now permeating normal culture, and normal culture has gone woke. But that craziness has infected the population, and unfortunately, it's putting real people at risk. So if you're pulled over by a cop and you're convinced the cop is a vestige of a slave patrol and is inherently racist, maybe even white supremacist, what would you do? Especially if you're a person of color and you've been listening to all this stuff. You're going to start making some fatal mistakes.
No, no, no. Stop, stop. Put your hands right in your head. Stop. Stop! No! Stop! Stop, man. Just let me out. Let me out. Stop! Stop, bro!
Resist, run. Don't treat the cops as if they have any authority to stop you because they're racist. That last shooting is still under investigation, but I do believe all of the lies that are told so consistently about the police, about law enforcement, about our history, about society, is putting real people at risk. It's obvious, isn't it? There's another one I want to point out, because when somebody misbehaves this badly and is then rewarded by our military, I'm never going to forget it, and I can't wait to have some accountability in this case. I call this the story of bad Lieutenant Nazario, who was a National Guardsman pulled over by the police, and somehow he thought that he shouldn't pull over. And he kept driving and driving and driving for 4 miles until he finally pulled over. Take a look.
He's not complying, Judge. Come around your side. Let me see your hands! How many occupants are in the vehicle?
What's going on?
How many occupants are in your vehicle?
It's only myself. Why are your weapons drawn? What's going on?
Open the door slowly and step out. Open the door.
I'm not getting out the vehicle. What's going on?
Keep your hands outside the window.
My hands are right here. What's going on?
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
What's
now.
going on?
Get out of the car now.
He's going to think about it. I guess he's been watching a lot of MSNBC. No, he's going to ask the questions, not the cops. By the way, he doesn't get shot or anything like this. He gets a little mace in the face because, well, look, he's not cooperating at all. And he just led them on a slow speed chase. And oh, by the way, he's got a gun in the car.
Get out of the car.
car now! I'm serving this country and this is how I'm treated. Get your hands...
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Get your hands off me, please. Get your hands off me.
You know what?
Get your hands off me.
Not
Get your hands off me.
Back up, Daniel.
I didn't do anything. Don't do that.
Sir.
All right, so weird things happen in America every single day, right? But they don't have to be ratified and glorified by the media and the Pentagon. The United States Department of Defense went out of its way to praise that soldier who just mouthed off to the cops. Lieutenant Nazario represented himself and our Army well through his calm, professional response. I'm very proud of him. The United States military, one of its top people on an official United States Army social media account, said that they were very proud of that guy for not cooperating with the police. What kind of example is this? Wow, when you go woke, it's true. Like Donald Trump said, you get demented, you go broke, and you maybe even get shot. We'll be right back.